Welcome to Worcester Shrub Hill Station, the most southerly station on the Snow Hill lines, the diesel commuter lines which run in and around Birmingham Snow Hill and Birmingham Moor Street. In this new series, I'm looking at the facts which you may not have known about regarding practically every station on the Snow Hill lines, from here at Worcester Shrub Hill, through to Worcester Foregate Street and onwards towards Birmingham Snow Hill, Stratford-u-Avon, Dorridge and Leamington Spa. In this first episode, I'm going to be looking at the stations between here at Worcester Shrub Hill, through Worcester Foregate Street, up towards Stourbridge Junction. I'll be looking at the facts which you may not have known about in part 1 of Secrets of the Snow Hill Lines. Before we get into the first station of Worcester Shrub Hill, let's dive into the history of the line featured in today's video. The line from Worcester to Stourbridge opened in stages between 1852 and 1861. The line from Worcester Shrub Hill to Stourbridge Junction was opened by the Oxford, Worcester and Wolverhampton Railway, the OW&W Railway, which linked, unsurprisingly, Oxford to Worcester and then on to Wolverhampton. The line was opened by 1853, gaining the nickname of the Old Worse and Worse Line, OW&W Line, for its mismanagement, with the line being over £1 million over budget, and when Parliament forced the line to be double-tracked, this only complicated matters. The line from Worcester Foregate Street was constructed by the Worcester and Hereford Railway and was opened by the West Midlands Railway in 1861, who purchased the Worcester and Hereford Railway after financial difficulties. Both lines were incorporated into the Great Western Railway in 1863, with there now being a link between Worcester Shrub Hill and Worcester Foregate Street. The line up to Stourbridge gained popularity with freight and passenger services, including services to Euston and Paddington. The Severn Valley Railway opened in 1862 up to Shrewsbury, whilst a direct line through to Birmingham Snow Hill opened by 1870. The line through to Wolverhampton was closed by 1967, with the Severn Valley line closing earlier in 1963, being saved up to Bewdley as a heritage railway. The Beeching Axe led to many smaller stations along the line also closing. Since the Beeching Axe though, the line from Worcester through to Stourbridge hasn't changed a lot. However, of course the Snow Hill lines through to Birmingham Snow Hill have changed, and we'll be talking about their reopening later in the series. West Midlands Railway serve the line on their Snow Hill line services, and are all operated by diesel Class 172 multiple units. Anyway, let's get back to me at Worcester Shrub Hill. The station here at Worcester Shrub Hill opened in 1850 as a joint venture between the Oxford, Worcester and Wolverhampton Railway, as well as the Midland Railway, with the current buildings at the station dating from 1865. The station is technically one of the termini of the Snow Hill lines, along with Worcester Foregate Street. A lot of services technically don't terminate here at Worcester Shrub Hill, they continue on to Worcester Foregate Street by reversing. But technically this is the most southern station on the Snow Hill lines. Worcester Foregate Street is just a tiny bit north. But yeah, both of the Worcester stations are basically termini of the Snow Hill lines. The station also sees Great Western Railway services towards Paddington, Cheltenham Spa, Great Malvern, Bristol, Gloucester and Westbury or Southampton. West Midlands Railway also serve peak time services between Hereford and Birmingham New Street, which ordinarily terminate at Worcester Foregate Street, whilst 4 cross-country trains per day pass through the station on the Cardiff, Penzance and Birmingham services to keep route knowledge on the line. The station here technically has 3 platforms. I'm not sure if you can see just behind me, there is the platform 3 sign up there. It is a tiny little platform which is probably only long enough for 2 carriage, maybe class 150, perhaps a class 172, but you wouldn't fit anything longer than that. So the platform hasn't been used in a few decades. There used to be a little service ran by Wessex Trains in Wales and West, which went from here at Worcester Shrub Hill over to Cheltenham Spa, but that was discontinued by London Midland in, I believe, 2009. Since then, Platform 3 only gets very, very, very sporadic use. I was trying to look on the timetables. I think there's one freight train a week. I think it's a Network Rail train which runs along this line, and even then it might be more sporadic than every week. So, only a few trains, maybe even a month, use Platform 3. So primarily there were just 2 platforms here at Worcester Shrub Hill. The station was formerly a major station for locomotive depots, housing up to 90 locomotives operated by Great Western Railway and later British Rail, closing in 1965, and also housed goods sheds and other depot maintenance sheds. The station still features a train care depot for West Midlands trains and stabling for Great Western Railway trains. Now the best feature here at Worcester Shrub Hill is its 1850s Grade 2 listed waiting room with an incredible ornate ceramic tiles and a beautiful cast iron work, with the waiting room being refurbished brilliantly in 2015. It just looks splendid and you can go in it and still use it as a waiting room. The station has also had its luggage footbridge replaced, which was, I believe, Grade 2 listed. It was restored and still features original cast iron railings. Potentially the best thing here at Worcester Shrub Hill are the fact that it uses semaphore signals. A lot of the railways here around Worcester and Droitwich, we'll be looking at later, all use semaphore signals. And here at Worcester Shrub Hill is probably one of the largest collections of ex-British Rail Western region semaphore signals. They just look splendid. And there's also an incredible banjo round signal which is on platform 1, which I believe still works. Also look out for the incredible old clocks here at Worcester Shrub Hill, which still work. At least the one on platform 2 still works and still shows the correct time, which is just fantastic. Now though, it's time to head on to the main station in Worcester. Worcester Shrub Hill gets around 500,000 passengers a year. The next station, Worcester Foregate Street, gets much more than that, which we'll discuss in a few minutes. It's only about a 3-minute train journey to get to Worcester Foregate Street, so I'm going to go up there and I'll see you at Foregate Street. Worcester Foregate Street Station then is the main station serving Worcester City, with 1.5 million more passengers using this station than at Worcester Shrub Hill. The station was opened in May 1860 by the Hereford and Worcester Railway, which was later absorbed by the Great Western Railway and finally British Rail in 1948. The station has 2 platforms here, located quite high up above road level, and since the 1970s, since 1973, the 2 platforms have been bi-directional. So they're basically 2 single-track lines which run parallel to each other. Platform 1 is the line towards Worcester Shrub Hill and onwards towards Bristol and London, whilst platform 2 is for the direct line towards Droitwich, which services used to go to and from Hereford and Stratford-upon-Avon and other Snow Hill and West Midlands railway services. Platform 1 then sees Great Western Railway services as well as a few West Midlands railway services which continue on to Worcester Shrub Hill. Platform 2 is the main platform for the West Midlands railway services. The great fact about Worcester Foregate Street is its old signal box, which is actually still present to this day. It is currently a cafe, but you can clearly see where the old signal box used to be, and it's now been turned very nicely into a cafe. The station is situated high on a viaduct and gives a great view down to Worcester, which is actually a very pretty city. Outside the station lies a beautiful cast iron bridge with the coat of arms of Worcester on it. The bridge dates from 1906 and was refurbished in 2013, after being Grade 2 listed. Worcester itself is the county city of Worcester and is home to over 100,000 people, with a very strong medieval past. It is home to the University of Worcester, and also home to the world's oldest newspaper. Edward Elgar, the composer of Land of Hope and Glory, is from the area and the surrounding Malverns. The city was also chosen as a potential evacuation site for the government and royal family during World War II, if evacuation was ever required. However, luckily, that never turned out to be needed. The next station along the line is Droitwich Spa. Droitwich Spa opened in 1852 as Droitwich by the Oxford, Worcester and Wolverhampton line, with the Great Western Railway rebuilding the station in 1899 at a cost of then £7,000, with new platforms and canopies built to help with the nearly 200,000 passengers which use the station each year. This number's only doubled in the past 127 years. At this point, the Spa suffix was also added. Here at Droitwich, it is the junction station for the line off to Birmingham New Street, served hourly by West Midlands Railway. The line was single-tracked in 1969. However, the line and the station here at Droitwich still features original British Rail semaphore signals, and there's a beautiful old signal box just to the north of the station. 3 trains an hour serve Birmingham from this station, 2 of those West Midlands Railway Snow Hill line services, and the other one the New Street to Hereford service. That also means 3 trains an hour run into Worcester, with one of those extending as far as Hereford. Droitwich is actually home to one of the saltiest brine water pond lakes anywhere in the world, and is also home to the Droitwich Transmission Station, which is a huge radio station of several huge masts over 200 metres high, which opened in 1934. With Radio 4 transmitting long-wave radio through the station until June of 2026, so really not very long ago, with Radio 4 being heard as far as Italy and Sweden from the mast here in Droitwich. Radio 5 Live and TalkSport can still be heard and broadcasted from the mast, but I don't believe these are long-wave radio broadcasts like the Radio 4 one was. Droitwich itself is a pretty little spa town, a bit like Worcester. It's very pretty. And yeah, it's meant to be quite a nice place to live around here. Anyway, now it's time to head on to what used to be used to be the least used station in Worcestershire of Hartlebury, and the most awkward station in today's video to tick off. Now, Hartlebury station was for quite a while the least used station in the whole of Worcestershire until a few years ago when Withell station on the North Warwickshire line Stratford-upon-Avon took over as the least used station in the county. Now, in my opinion, Withell shouldn't even be in Worcestershire to begin with. It should probably be in Warwickshire. It's both closer to Warwick, the county town of Warwickshire, and Birmingham, the county town of the West Midlands, than it is to Worcester, the county town of Worcestershire. So I don't actually know why it's in Worcestershire, probably some silly old counties borders thing, because it's very far away from Worcester. But regardless, that station is the least used station in Worcestershire, not Hartlebury, which used to be. And actually, Hartlebury sees only around 800, 900 more passengers per year than Withell. They're really close. If you look at the overall least used station numbers, they're within two of each other in terms of overall rankings for the whole country. So these two stations, Hartlebury and Withell, also on the Snow Hill lines, are really close together in terms of passenger numbers, but Withell just pips Hartlebury to be the least used in the county. Now, the station did used to be a much grander affair with old canopies over the station buildings, an old footbridge all the way into the 1960s, when the canopies were removed and the footbridge was removed to save the money on maintenance, and now you have to use a level crossing to get between the platforms. There really isn't much to say about Hartlebury. An old signal box here was demolished by 2014, and well, there's not much here. The station is the closest to the town of Stourport, which used to have a station until 1970. The station has received an hourly service since December of 2013, seeing services towards Dorridge and Worcester, with a 2-hourly service on Sundays, only introduced since May 2022. The next station down the line of Kidderminster is definitely one of the larger stations on the Snow Hill lines. Opening in 1852, the station became the junction station with the Severn Valley Railway in 1878 towards Shrewsbury, with this line closing in 1963 to Shrewsbury, and the final section to Hartlebury closing in 1970, before becoming a heritage line. Kidderminster station formerly had an amazing 1863 Tudor mock-up building, which was unfortunately had to be demolished in 1968 due to dry rot. However, not to fret, because in 1974 it was replaced by an even grander old brick building. I mean, doesn't it just look fabulous? For some reason, this 1974 brick building was replaced by a new building which opened in 2020, and I must say, it's quite a nice building actually. Of course, here at Kidderminster, I can't not mention the Severn Valley line, the heritage line which runs through and terminates here at Kidderminster Town Station, which is just behind me. Kidderminster Town Heritage Station opened here in 1984 on the site of the old goods yard. The station here does see a pretty good service. The station here is the starting point for the 4 trains an hour service that West Midlands Railway run from here towards Birmingham. So the bigger stations such as Kidderminster and Stourbridge Junction, which we'll be ending this video at, sees up to 4 trains an hour into Birmingham, Snow Hill and beyond. However, smaller stations such as our next one, Blakedown, only see 2 trains an hour. Just before we get on to Blakedown, it's worth mentioning that Kidderminster station received a new accessible footbridge in 2009. And the station also has displays for the Museum of Carpet, which is in Kidderminster. Kidderminster has a long history in the carpet industry, and this is well displayed at the station. The next 2 stations, Blakedown and Hagley, are, well, not a lot, but I went to visit them anyway. Blakedown was previously known as Churchill upon opening in 1852, and was then renamed at some point to Churchill and Blakedown. The station sees just 2 trains an hour in each direction, between Stratford-upon-Avon, Whitlock's End, and Worcester. The station used to have much longer platforms, with Blakedown as a village having about 1,500 people living in it. The best thing is that it used to have an old signal box, with this signal box actually being preserved. It's been moved to the other side of the road and was out of action sometime after 2009, when the signalling and road crossings were improved in the area. It was purchased privately and moved to the station side of the road. It's given a fresh look of paint and looks amazing. It has its own little garden named after it, and it's just very quaint and very nice. But apart from that, that's about all there is to say. About Blakedown and Hagley station has even less to talk about. Hagley has a lovely Great Western Railway era station building, one of the only on the line to still feature its original buildings, and also has this incredible covered canopy from 1884, which was refurbished in 2011 after being Grade 2 listed in 2001. Hagley Station footbridge is actually the base model for Hornby's 00 gauge canopy footbridge, so if you have a model railway Hornby 00 gauge canopy footbridge at home, that might indeed be Hagley Station's footbridge. But apart from that, there isn't much to say. It gets the same service as Blakedown and is a very quaint station, but there's just not a lot to talk about. Stourbridge Junction, however, the final station in today's video, has a lot more to talk about. Here at Stourbridge Junction, the rain is finally falling for the first time in like several months, and this is the last station featuring in today's video. Now, I can't not mention Stourbridge Junction without mentioning the Stourbridge Shuttle, which of course is one of Europe's shortest branch lines. I've made my own dedicated video on the Stourbridge Shuttle if you are interested in that. The station here at Stourbridge Junction isn't the original station. In 1901, the station here was completely rebuilt and moved 370 metres south to its current location. 2 island platforms were built with 4 platforms. However, one of those platforms has since been taken out of use and now forms the car park. In 1962, the line north of Stourbridge to Wolverhampton Low Level closed, remaining open to freight until 1993. Birmingham Snow Hill Station closed in 1967, reopening in 1995, with, until this point, services directed into New Street via Smethwick Junction. Stourbridge Junction signal box closed in August 2012, with West Midlands Railway serving 4 trains an hour into Birmingham and towards Kidderminster, whilst Chiltern run a few services a day to and from London Marylebone. The shuttle to Stourbridge Town operates roughly every 10 minutes. There have been several plans to reopen the line to Wolverhampton as either heavy rail or a Midland Metro extension, with, in 2021, funding given for a preliminary planning phase of an extension from the upcoming Bearley Hill terminus near Dudley of the Midland Metro towards Stourbridge. So soon Stourbridge could be on the Midland Metro network. There is a light depot here used for Chiltern for their new Mark 5A trains, and there's also a much smaller depot for the West Midlands Class 139 Parry People Mover trains. Stourbridge is also home to the Stourbridge Line, the first ever train which featured on America's railroads, and also has the Stourbridge Centro Clock, a 3.5 metre clock tower outside the station which was built in 1997 by Central Trains. Anyway, here at Stourbridge Junction, this is where I'll be ending this video. Later in this series, we'll be looking at stations between Stourbridge Junction to Birmingham Snow Hill, and eventually going through every station on the Snow Hill lines. I hope you've enjoyed looking at the stations between Worcester Shrub Hill and here at Stourbridge Junction. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the stations along this line. Have you been to any of them? Do you have any memories of any of the stations along here? Do you have any facts which I may have missed? Do let me know in the comments below. I hope you've enjoyed this video though. Do smash like, smash subscribe, check out my Twitter, Blue Sky and Discord in the links in the description below. And I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye. And a huge thank you to my YouTube and Patreon members, including first class members Aaron Barry, Crispin McKee, JB Niel and Phil Smith. My Business Zone members Alan Wyatt, Andrew Bowen, Anthony Harris, Anthony James Moore, ARK, BK Gary, Connor Gregg, Clive's Travelling and Trains, Craig Mitchell 43, Daniel Burford, Dave CDF, Gareth T97, Henry Joy, Jay Teco, Galia Lev, Martin Thomas, NJTE, Ollie D, OVTUG Alex, Pete Denton, Real, Sean Hemmings, SZWL, Train Life GB, Tom Kennedy, Will Ho and Zach Renfrey, as well as my standard premium and standard class members. You can join this list from as little as £2.99 a month, or support me from as little as 99p a month. Your support not only helps me make videos like this one, but you also get exclusive access to videos early, as well as exclusive members only videos. Your support really does mean the world to me though, so thank you. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.